Turning the pages of our archives, we find an account of divine intervention, or as they say, maybe just luck. How many lives do you think you have? How many times can you roll the dice and put your life on the line? This is a tale of a man who could not die by hanging. Listen to a tale of the unexplained. Our journey takes us to Sydney, Australia, where the account occurred. In 1803, a man in Sydney, Australia died from wounds inflicted on him by a thief he had discovered stealing a small desk containing a bag of gold. After a short investigation, a man named Joseph Samuels, a man known to have dirty hands, was arrested with some of the coins still in his pocket. Samuels claimed that he had won the coins gambling and even had witnesses that swore that he was miles away from the scene of the crime. But with a combination of a bad reputation and being under police pressure, Samuels confessed to the robbery. After recounting his confession, he was promptly found guilty of the murder and sentenced to death. Lo and behold, there was an accomplice in the robbery, a man named Isaac Simmons. He also was in custody and refused to confess to the murder. On the day Samuels was brought to the gallows in a horse-drawn cart, and the noose was placed around his neck, Samuel's accomplice Simmons was also brought to the execution in hopes of shocking him into a confession of murder. The execution would be carried out using a horse-drawn cart. When the signal was given, the horses would be driven forward, and the guilty man would be strangled to death by a noose and rope. As time grew closer, a crowd gathered and Samuels was allowed to address them briefly. Samuels said he was innocent, and the real murderer was standing there in the crowd. Under police guard, Isaac Simmons is the murderer, he said. But the guards heard not a word of it. Believing Samuels, the crowd began to clamor to release him and to put his accomplice on trial. As the crowd rushed forward, the guard jabbed the horses, and the animal moved off, leaving Samuels dangling from the rope. But only for a little while when the rope snapped. Guards gathered around him while the hangman prepared another rope. The crowd was wound up, but a guard who knew where his duty lied quickly hoisted Samuels back into the cart and put a noose around his neck. The order was quickly given and the cart was rolled away. Again, Samuels dangled from the rope. As it seemed by the divine intervention, the rope began to slowly unravel until Samuel's feet brushed the floor just enough to keep him from strangling to death. After seeing this, the crowd was in an uproar and was convinced that it was divine intervention, and they yelled out to let him go. "Cut him down," they chanted. This thrice timed the rope placed around the neck, and the rope broke just above Samuel's head. The guard, unnerved, rode as fast as he could to the governor's office to report the incident. The governor immediately released the condemned man. The accomplice, Isaac Simmons, was eventually brought to trial and hung for the policeman's murder. So what happened to Simmons? Well, soon after his release, Samuels went back to his old ways and was imprisoned again. And this time, him and his companions stole a boat and went out to sea and were never seen or heard again.